What's up, Dev Nation? E40 voice. What's up, Dev Nation? E40 voice. Can't wait till Keith Smith hops on. And I already put in the comments. Oh, you know what I got to do? I got to post this on Facebook because we're still having trouble logging on to Facebook. Sucks. Let's see. Still having trouble logging Warriors for Life onto this Facebook page. Nick and I will fix shortly, but here's our live chat for tonight with CBA expert Keith Smith. Let's see if that posts on. Oh, I posted it on the wrong Warriors for Life. Yikes. Oops. Let me delete that. Sorry, other Warriors for Life. I guess it's Warriors for Life official. Yeah, there it is. Can I put something on there? Is he gonna, oh man, I can't post. Posts. Uh-oh. I'll just write a comment in the latest. Oops. Epic fail on Facebook. I know what I can do. No, share. No, search, follow. More. Dude. Facebook leaves a lot left to be desired. Oh, well, let us carry on. I am going to share a screen right here. It's going to contain an article from Keith Smith himself. He just wrote it today, which is kind of cool. Let's see. Where's that link? Gotta find that link. And we'll just read it right here. So kind of cool that he got this right up in time. He's probably going to come onto the stream and say, oh, I just wrote this article. And I'll be like, yeah, you did. And we read it right on the air here. I just did a workout, by the way, so I'm super tired right now. So I wanted to update the comments. I mean, the description later on. Bear with me. Off topic. Kendrick Perkins said some wrong stuff recently on NBA Today. Told Malika Andrews some wrong stuff. Recent article on if the Warriors are spending too much. Thank you for joining us. So let's read this. This should be interesting. Almost immediately after the Golden State Warriors. Wait, oh, this is an old article. My fault. July 13th. To be fair, The Warriors have outspent the rest of the NBA by a wide margin over the last half decade. Brooklyn Nets were the second most expensive total tax bill. Our total tax bill was $170 million. Last season. Then it was the Nets at under 100 million. Then it was the Clippers at 83 million. Let's see. So Nets and Clippers. He goes, boo hoo, grab a tissue, wipe your tears while the world's smallest violin plays a somber tune. Wow. He's saying small market teams can't pay what the Warriors can. Market size clearly doesn't and shouldn't dictate ownership's willingness to pay the tax, because the Blazers in Portland have been taxpayers on the regular. So have the Bucks and the Jazz, although not this season as they rebuild for the Jazz. We have paid tax in 5 of 8 seasons since 2016. And in the 4 championship seasons, we've paid tax 2 out of those 4 times. It's fun to look back at our roster last year. Again, this is an article from July. And through the draft, update our number through the draft. 10 out of 14. As of July, it was 8 out of those 15. I think we had. Don't forget, Durant helped us out. Did a 1-1 each time. So just going back through history on D'Angelo for Wiggins. Instead of complaining about the Warriors' largesse and skyrocketing tax bills, why aren't more teams drafting and developing better? So this is a very pro-Warriors article, but I think it's also pro, if you can afford it, spend it. And again, we are so fortunate to have Chase Center as a cash cow. We are fortunate to have Lacob as someone who is so hell-bent on winning that he will spend and that he will go and jump through a million hoops to get an arena built in San Francisco that then also can earn revenues from other non-basketball activities such as concerts. And don't forget Thrive City. I guess we should research this a bit. Maybe Opie knows, maybe Keith Smith knows. They might not. I wonder, like, they own that whole property, right? So whether it's Goff's Burgers, is that what the name of it was? Anyways, the burger joint right outside Chase Center, the dumpling place right outside Chase Center, the little NBC Sports Bay Area studio, which I'm sure they pay rent on. They touted Pete's Coffee when it was built at Thrive City, and I don't think you would tout that unless you actually owned the land that Pete's Coffee has to pay rent on. So there are other streams of revenue as well. Welcome, Deadly Claws. So we're going to have Keith Smith on at in 20 minutes. So just take your time And the other thing I wanted to do now that we're 10 minutes in is go through something that Kendrick Perkins said, which kind of wrong according to people I've talked to. This came across my YouTube timeline. Let me look for it real quick. Excuse me. I just got done with a workout, so I'm kind of out of breath. It's a mini workout. Let's see. Okay. Oh, excuse me. Hang tight. Hang tight. I got to do a couple little administrivia things. That's why it's better to have like a producer of the show come on and do all this stuff for me. All right. What was I going to do? Oh, yeah. Got to look at my history. So, yeah, let's check this. YouTube.com. Let's go Warriors. Let's check history. Where's history? Library? No. Home? That is home. Subscriptions? I don't know where to look. Man. Oh, I know where to look. Let me look in our library here. Oh, here it is. I just had it. Okay, let's take a look at this. And let me make this smaller so that just in case. Don't want to get demonetized here. What's up, Christian Leo? Let's go back a little bit. 440 mark. Ready? Ready for this? Here's Kendrick Perkins.
Like that played the NBA. It's pettiness all across the board. So Jordan is going to have to deal with this. We talked about this, I believe, earlier in the week when I talked about the families that's being involved. That's the key thing for me. I just want to know, how's that family locker room? Because the one thing I do know, the team that I was on that won the championship, we had a saying of Ubuntu, togetherness, and the togetherness was not just within the players. The togetherness was with the wives, the moms, the children. You know, they did things together. And so when you start to think about those certain type of things, yes, we're waiting to see if Jordan Poole is really going to is he going to forgive Draymond Green? Nobody could be mad if he don't. But what about the parents? Are they going to forgive him? Is Jordan Poole, other family members going to forgive him? How's that atmosphere going to be? That's the concern.
Yeah. All right. I can tell you that is not true. That is not true at all. Just as I just put in the comments, just as an FYI, the families in the Chase Center era are actually not that close. Of course, you've got the families of all the young players. I mean, they were close during the Oracle era for two reasons. One, more of the the players were closer in age together. And two, the setup of the Oracle family room is really tight. I've been there, and I one time interviewed Sonia Curry and Brandon Payne to do my Stay in the Moment podcast regarding, I did a podcast, not an article, regarding, and it's in somewhere, it's on anchor.fm. So if you go search on Let's Go Warriors, all one word, Stephen Curry in the moment or something. These are our podcasts now. So I don't really do the whole Spotify, Apple podcast thing. Everything's YouTube just out of simplicity. By the way, if you want to help us turn these videos into podcasts of some sort, more than happy to get that help. Might even pay you. We'll see. Depends on how opportunistic our podcasts are. But I've interviewed people in the Oracle family room. It's that small. It's that cozy. They used to all just hang around in the hallways. At Chase Center, it's like way more vast, and people just naturally stay in their own kind of cliques. So the dynamic and the dynamic and the demographic actually is the word that I wanted to say. The demographic of the families is a little different because, sure, I mean, you got the young guys. I mean, James Wiseman's mom talks to Moody's mom, but it's not like they really talk to each other on a regular basis, or, so that's different. Than also each environment's different. So for Kendrick Perkins to impose his experience with the Celtics onto the current Warriors of 2022, I don't think that's really fair. But it was a nice try. I mean, it was a lot of people do that. You look at your own experiences and you apply them to these, but he's actually wrong in this case. So we're 15 minutes away from Keith Smith. He's coming on board. So let me write that in there. Friendly reminder, Keith Smith will join us at 6 o'clock PDT, which is 9 o'clock for you nice folks in the Far East. Oh, and everybody hit that like button for me, please. Yay. Man, I guess everybody yesterday, the flame has died out a bit, because yesterday, wow, I think we got up to 200 concurrents at one point, which is a good number because you think about Coach Nick, basketball breakdown. He's thank you, Christian. He's Coach Nick is you bring that up, Christian. Let's talk about casual fandom and non-casual fandom. It's okay to be a casual fan, but it's also, I would prefer if more casual fans are more open to information that will help them learn more about teams. So let's see. Casual fandom is okay, but so I'm using the example of the 49ers this morning. So every day, every time there's a game, me and my dad will text each other and moan and gripe about the Niners and stuff. And I become a casual fan because I am a casual fan of the Niners. I don't know. And a casual fan is very loosely based. I mean, I don't know what it's like in the Niners locker room. If I were a diehard, I'd probably want to follow I don't even follow Niners beat writers. I don't have time for that. I just want to sit back on Sunday, watch the game, and that's it. I just don't really care about anything else. Unlike the Warriors, where I'm covering it every practice, every day, every glimpse of practice, every pregame. Did Steph do logo shots, to that degree, which, by the way, I saw a couple posts pregame like, oh, here's Steph doing this. What's he doing? And I'm like, I've been around the block a long time. What he's doing with Bruce Fraser in the beginning when he points, that's a little joke that Steph and Q have with their good buddy, Chris Strachan. I don't know how to pronounce his last name, Kosizi. And then the other one was, Draymond sprinting back to the locker room. And there was like a smiley face as if that was something different. No, Draymond always sprints back to the locker room after he does his pregame. That's what he does. So that is diehard fandom right there. Whereas talking about the Niners now, I'm like, hey, Dad, did you hear that? I saw like, I don't know, 95.7. One of the tweets earlier this week was, what do you call it? Are the Niners going to pursue Christian McCaffrey? Which today, man, they needed a guy like Christian McCaffrey, didn't they? But I told my dad, and he's also a casual fan of the Niners. I said, I don't know if that's true or not. I don't know if that's fake news. I don't know where that's coming from. But if it was the Warriors, I would know where a piece of news is coming from, and I could tell you whether or not that source is legit or not. So thanks, guys. So that's my real quick take on casual fandom. Let me just check my email to make sure everything. Okay, cool. Keith Smith says he's going to pop in before 9. And I'm really sorry for the people that, I mean, we lost our entire Facebook crowd. Not that it was ginormous or anything, but the Facebook link just wasn't working. I don't know. Now that's a couple times now that StreamYard's got to fix. I'm going to send in a little, what do you call it? Trouble report to StreamYard. They're really good about that. In fact, since you guys don't have any questions, I'm going to chat them up right now. Having issues. Let's see. Oh, there we go. Okay. What's up, Jan? I saw you in the comments on our wherever it was, random. You know what's one gripe I have about YouTube is a comment will pop up, but then it doesn't link me back to the exact video, or I think I got to go through one app or the other. And it's just puzzling to me sometimes where these comments come from, and it gets me out of context sometimes. But I saw you, Jan. I forget what we were talking about at that moment in time, but some of the topics that we have coming up, which I will put in the comments right here. Here are some stuff that I've been wondering about for a while. Oh, there's even, let's see, 2 ways and exhibit 10s just for more knowledge from Keith. Put that in there. So here's a list of, and I hope this fits in the comment box. Let's try it. Let's see. That fit? No, I wrote too much. Exhibit 10, 2 ways. Okay, cool. Oh man, couldn't fit it in the 200 character limit. What is Celtics payrolls? Perception of, yeah, there we go. I'm gonna do that. So here are some topics, and let me copy and paste these same topics over to our Twitch people. Thank you. If you're on Twitch, appreciate you all. So I feel like we spent all our energy yesterday in the comments. But it was fun yesterday, wasn't it? It was like, wow, what a feeling. I'm so happy about signing Wiggins and Poole. All right. I just typed in a trouble ticket for StreamYard. Let's go back here and let's go back to our salary cap table. You know, we have to at least do the honor of having SpoTrac on, you know, I mean, SpoTrac.com Warrior salaries. At least do Keith Smith the honor of having our salary cap stuff on here. Look at this. This is so in depth. Oh, did you know Kevon Looney has $1 million in unlikely incentives? Interesting. Look at all this stuff. So SpoTrac has, you know, what's great here is you go down here and you can look at the cap space, you can look at the deadlines, and usually they have the exhibit 10s here as well. Taxpayer mid-level, two ways. They don't have the exhibit 10s. They did during training camp, which I guess, I mean, training camp officially ends tomorrow, Monday. But anyway, so you can compare SpoTrac, all this in-depth stuff, and Keith Smith, you know, he works for SpoTrac. So what a cool job. I bet you he's got a spreadsheet just like our guy, Opie, yesterday in the comments does. But I like Hoops Hype in terms of just here's a global view of who's coming up, you know. So Wiggins will get filled in later by Tuesday. Let's say this will get filled in. Same thing on SpoTrac. They need to have the details of that. And there's Keith. Let's just bring him on. Keith Smith.
Hey, how are you?
Wow, what an honor.
Thanks for having me.
Great to have you on board. Everybody, this is Keith Smith of SpoTrac, also of Celtics blog. We might get into that a little bit, but one thing I love about Keith is just his demeanor on Twitter, because Twitter can get heated all the time, but man, this guy stays level-headed and he's fair. He's fair. Like, he will criticize the Celtics for not doing this or that against the Warriors in the finals, and it's like you really learn a lot from Keith. So glad to have you on board.
I appreciate that. Hey, saw you playing with SpoTrac there.
Yes, sir.
Just so you know, when you were talking about it, if you go back to that page,
Yeah, let's
the
do this.
SpoTrac page.
Let's do this. Oops, sorry. Got Hoops Hype.
No, that's all good.
Yeah.
If you click, I know you were talking about the year, like being able to see all the years.
Yes,
Scroll
sir.
like towards the top. If you click multi-year summary
Oh,
on
duh.
that guy,
I am the worst at tabs. I'm the absolute worst.
Yeah, we've got it there, and we've even got
SpoTrac, the one-stop shop right now.
Yeah, scroll down a little bit.
I love this.
You'll even see we have the estimates in there for Wiggins and Poole already.
You have color and you have Wiggins and Poole. Jeez, man.
Yep. So it's all there.
Oh, lovely. Okay, here's a tricky question, if you will. Do you have the incentives for Jordan Poole? Probably not yet. They haven't ironed that out, right?
Yeah, it's what we do is we don't generally show the incentives on the site. We'll show it as a portion of the total, but we won't show what the actual incentives are. It becomes too. There are players who literally have incentives that are like pages long if you were to print them. So it just becomes too bulky and too there's no good way to display it. So what we do is if you click on Kevon Looney.
Cool, man. We get the tutorial.
And then if you scroll down, you'll see there it's gonna tell you that he has likely or unlikely. Scroll up just a little bit. Okay. A little bit more. It'll tell you by year that he's got likely incentives or unlikely incentives, but we generally don't break down exactly what they are. It just becomes too bulky.
I think it's pretty easy to figure out likely versus unlikely, right? Like, if you make all-star. Looney's probably not going to be an all-star, right? One of
It's
those.
actually really simple.
Yeah.
It's either did it happen or didn't it? If it happened in the season prior, it's considered to be likely. If it didn't happen the season prior, it's unlikely. So even if we said, right, even if you're Mr. and Mrs. Looney and you're the biggest Kevon Looney fan in the world, and you're like, yeah, he's going to make an all-star team. If that's what his incentive was, it would still be unlikely until he actually did it. Then it would flip, and it would flip for that year, obviously, in terms of actual pay, and then it would flip for the next year, it would flip to likely. So it's really simple. It just is did it happen the year before or not? No matter how complex the incentive is, that's what it comes down to. But some guys have incentives that are things like, is their rebound percent over 3.6% rebounds and those kind of things. It's very, very complex in some of the contracts and the like. So that's just why we don't display all of that. It just becomes too unwieldy.
Wow. So make no mistake, people, SpoTrac does have the information. They just don't have the room on the website. That's just wow.
We've also added, just to shout out to our talented programming team. If you look at Looney, look over to the right hand side of what we've got there. It says 5.66% of the salary cap is what he said to me.
Gotcha.
Yeah, as the salary cap continues to go up, and the salaries continue to go up, we wanted to display salaries as a percent of cap. If you go back to the team view, you can see that again there. You can see it on there. It's that little percentage next to the actual salary number. It's the little, it almost looks like a footnote, but that's what the percentage of the cap is. We wanted to be able to display that because that's going to be a term you're going to hear that more and more as the salary cap goes up.
Yeah, let me write that down in the description. Percent of salary cap notations, because that is an excellent way for fans to check the value of a guy, of a contract, right? So that like Andrew Wiggins, and let's just dive into that.
Sure.
What do you think about Wiggins and Poole from your sort of more league perspective rather than just the Warriors?
I think it's a fantastic value. I think Wiggins is he has been a near perfect fit for the Warriors. Well, what they needed. I thought when they brought him in a couple years ago, when they're kind of in the reset years there, I guess it was a nice you continue flipping forward of that salary slot. Obviously, I think he fit far better than D'Angelo Russell was going to. Yep. And I think, then, I mean, he was tremendous in the finals. If Stephen Curry wasn't the MVP, it might have been Andrew Wiggins. He was that good. And that's not to take anything away from Steph. He was obviously unreal. But yeah, I think he's a perfect fit for them. Now, contract wise, getting him at basically $27 million a year, unbelievable value. Again, in terms of cap, that's like 20% of the salary cap going forward for a guy who probably at some point in the next couple of years, I think transitions into, if he's not already there, transitions to being the team's second or third best player. I think that's probably where we're headed towards, depending on how you view Draymond Green and if his play continues to slip. Who knows if he's even there past this season? We'll find that out eventually, and what your opinions are on Jordan Poole and Klay Thompson. But I really do think Andrew Wiggins is great, and I think they got him on a great value contract too. And good on the Warriors for getting this done now, because had he gotten a free agency this summer, there's going to be a lot more teams with a lot of cap space to spend than there are going to be good free agents to spend it on, and they would have ended up paying quite a bit. So I think it's great that they got this done now.
Yeah, a couple of the people that I follow aside from you and Warriors beat writers is obviously Bobby Marks. How can you not follow him? And he tweeted out, what did he tweet out? That you were talking about, well, the one of his whiteboard, first of all.
Yep.
$130 million if Draymond opts in salaries,
yeah,
and penalties. And how do you? I know you tweeted earlier today from your article about your article from July, which we went through, saying that hey, the Warriors should be spending. But now that number's out there, what's your take on that from a league
Yeah,
perspective?
yeah, first of all, it's a little mind-boggling, like to just even think of approaching $500 million for salary plus tax penalties like that. That's just those start to be. It almost starts to feel like monopoly money, like it's not even real, right? Because that's just those are figures that are so staggering. But I think it is important to again let's reframe. I think this next CBA. Which we may be into next season. Depends. There's a mutual opt out on December 15th. Both sides are expected to say, yeah, we're going to opt out of the CBA. That's not a bad thing. I know instantly that goes to, oh my gosh, nothing's going to happen to this season. This season's covered. This season's going to get played all the way through. Let me knock on wood and hope we don't have any kind of crazy pandemics or anything. But this season will get played all the way through. There probably won't even be any kind of lockout or work stoppage or anything that affects next season. All it is it's time to opt out and fix some stuff that both sides want to fix. And it's easier to do that if you opt out than it is to do that while you're there. This current CBA we're in, they negotiated it all in season, got it done, and there was no pause, no stoppage, nothing, and it just moved on. That's what I expect here. I like to live by the philosophy of half a watermelon is better than a whole grape, meaning they're all making a ton of money. Nobody wants to, stop and not make money and those kind of things. So there's stuff that needs fixed and cleaned up. One of the things I think that is going to be a push, and I think the Warriors will be right near the front of the charge for this, but there are other teams that are going to be in the same boat. Teams would like to have some sort of incentive system where it is, hey, if we have Stephen Curry, and we're going into his third, fourth, maybe fifth contract at some point, and we still think he's worth paying $50 million a year. Why are we being punished for drafting this guy, developing him, having this great player? He stayed home this entire time. He's never left the franchise. Why do we then have to pay him X amount, $50-60 million a year? Then on top of that, we're getting dinged with, 5 times that in tax penalties and those kind of things. So I think what we're going to see happen here is you're going to see teams really start to push for, all right, we got to get this solved where if you're re-signing your own players, I think you're going to get not salary cap wise, because that's a very, that's a big time balancer around the league with the salary cap. I don't think you should get benefit there, but you should not get penalized so deeply on the tax side of it. It should be, hey, if we're re-signing our own guy and it pushes us into the tax, maybe only half his salary counts for the taxes or something like that. Because it's not like the Warriors have been re-signing everybody just because. They're re-signing these guys because they're good, valuable players. As I wrote in that article in July after the finals, when people were ripping them and saying it's a textbook or a checkbook win and all those kind of things, and it's unfair. So we should punish the Warriors for drafting and developing better than just about anybody else. 8 of their players on that roster were drafted by them. That's incredible. That's half the roster. The highest picked player didn't even play because it was James Wiseman. He was hurt. So you can't criticize them for consistently nailing draft picks over and over and over again, including ones that were super late picks like Draymond Green, Jordan Poole, players like that. The only player they acquired via even remotely unconventional means was Andrew Wiggins, and that was done by flipping the Kevin Durant salary slot into D'Angelo Russell, turning that into Andrew Wiggins. Everybody else drafted minimum contracts. Everybody's kind of, working with the same deal there. So I just think the belly aching over, the Warriors spending is bad and all those things. It's just too much. It's too much. Now on the flip side, we should do something, not to necessarily help the Warriors out, because they make money hand over fist. As I like to say, in the time I speak this sentence, they've made it, right? They're good. Same with like a guy like Steve Ballmer and the Clippers or the Nets in their group. But when you get into, let's say you get into a situation where Oklahoma City now or the Orlando Magic, who have these great young cores that they're building around, they want to keep those guys together. They may face very real tax concerns. that become, we can't pay all these players because we don't make money like the Warriors. We're not in that market. We're not in the Bay Area market. We don't have that huge, I want to say they're like the third or fourth biggest. I think it's actually fourth or fifth biggest TV market in the country. We don't have that, in Orlando where I live currently. So I think what you want to do there is, yeah, let's say, all right, hey, Orlando, when we're 7 years into this thing and Paolo Banchero is awesome, if you resign him to a max deal, not all of that max deal is going to count against you for tax purposes. So that way you don't get dinged when you're trying to re-sign Franz Wagner and Jalen Suggs and all these other kids we hope develop. So those are the things I think may come in this next CBA, is some help to the to the teams to not drive these tax bills into these stratospheres. Also, last thing I'll say on that, the cap and the tax line are going to continue to go up, where we're probably less than 7-8 years away from a $200 million salary cap line, which will be probably in the range then of a $280 or $90 million luxury tax line. So we're headed rapidly in that direction. So I think it's very important to know too, on a guy like Wiggins locking in now, that contract's going to end up being less a percent of the cap as we go. That tax bill will come down. Those kind of things. That'll be offset some by eventually got to re-sign Wiseman and Moody and Kuminga if they all pop as hoped for. But that's where it all goes.
Let's go back to in a minute. I want to talk about, you mentioned Wiggins and signing him for the number now, which is going to look great later, but also with the timing of Tyler Herro and Jordan Poole. But before that, on the topic of not getting penalized so much for your own homegrown talent, the only thing I would follow up with that is, do you actually think, and you have this league perspective, so you would know better, there may be, we've always thought, our little Warriors community here, that there may be some owners out there that actually would sort of shoot themselves in the foot just because they still know there are ways from winning, and they do want to see the Warriors penalized like that. So do you actually think, I guess the Board of Governors what's the process? They would have to vote on that? Or do you think?
Well, it would have to be collectively bargained with the union, because that's part of the CBA negotiation. So the first part of that is on the NBA side. Yeah, they've got to get the Board of Governors all on board. You've got to get every team. Now, it's very easy today for, and I'm not saying they did this because I don't think they did, but the ownership group of the Orlando Magic to say, Joe Lacob, look at how much money they're spending. That's terrible. Now, on the flip side, they got like an $11 or $12 million check from all the tax teams. So I don't know how hard they were really complaining about that. I think it's more the teams that were, this is where my memory's at. Memphis, right? Memphis played the Warriors. Was that No, they played Dallas in the West Finals, right? But they played Memphis the round before. So if those two, Dallas isn't a good example because Mark Cuban's got more money than a lot of people. But if it was Memphis ownership group really belly aching, that's probably a very temporary belly aching because they just lost to them. In general, owners are going to look at it, or governors are going to look at it together, and they're going to basically say, you know what, what's good for one right now is going to be good for me eventually. So let's try to, we're all going to get on the same page. If they can't get on the same page, then it doesn't even go to negotiations because they're not in agreement. They have to be in agreement. Then you have to have the players union in agreement. Now, some people say, well, why does the union care? Well, the union cares because if my tax bill, if I'm the Warriors, right now, they're sitting on an open 15th roster spot. That is somewhat because why are we going to pay a whole bunch of money in taxes, even on a minimum deal? That's going to count 2 or 3 times as much for us. Why are we going to pay, a ton of money in taxes just to fill a 15 spot for a guy who may never play? Now, if Steph's contract, and I'm making this up, but let's say that only counted as half because he's hit X amount of years with the team or whatever, then you maybe want to say, all right, let's fill that spot. And from a union side, that's another spot filled, another paycheck to a player, another job that goes filled versus having it unfilled. So they would like to see less restrictive tax penalties as well.
Great. Love that. Now going back to Tyler Herro timing with Jordan Poole, it could be argued that maybe the Warriors should have got Jordan Poole's contract been before? So what's your whole get our arms around that one?
Yeah, I think Jordan Poole hopefully sent Tyler Herro at least a gift certificate to a nice restaurant or something, right? Because
Yeah.
Tyler Herro really set the market for Jordan Poole. Now, Tyler Herro's contract initially was reported as 130 million. It's turned out it's 120 million with incentives. That's kind of agent games where they want the max number being the initial thing reported, right? Because that's what everybody remembers, and that's what everybody runs off with is player X is making 130 million. And I promise I'm not trying to start fights between any Tyler Herro, Jordan Poole, Warriors, Heat fans, but very comparable players in terms of what they do, right? They're both 6-man combo scoring guards off the bench, and both are probably, if they're not the best at what they do in the league right now, they're, top. They're 2 and 3, and I would struggle for somebody to tell me who they'd put in front of the two of them right now as far as the roles that they play. Now, I tend to think I like Poole slightly better myself because he started and he's done it quite well. But that's why I think the Warriors are comfortable giving him a little bit more money. I think the Warriors are very comfortable saying, if Klay Thompson decides, you know what, I just want to sail around in my boat and I'm done, I'm going to retire tomorrow, they're very comfortable popping Jordan Poole in and off we go, right? They did it for half of this last season and they were great. And they played a lot in the playoffs and they were fine. Does he have his deficiencies? Sure. That's definitely true. There's very few perfect players in the league. I'd argue there are none. But that contract is very fair for what he does. And I think in a lot of ways, Jordan Poole was their most important bridge player. Eventually, I don't know when, but eventually Stephen Curry, Klay Thompson, Draymond Green, if he's still a part of things, they're going to age out. It's just going to happen. It's just how the life of sports goes. And when they do, the Warriors have done a good job setting themselves up for the future. Now, you need Wiseman, Kuminga, Moody. You need at least probably 2 of those guys to really pop, really become something. But Jordan Poole's already popped, and he's young, so you want to have that bridge locked up. So if sometime in the next 3 seasons, Curry, Thompson, Green, maybe 2 of the 3 are done, they move on. You've already got your guy locked in as your young players are still kind of growing into what they're going to be. So that's also, I think, why the Warriors were basically comfortable saying, all right, we can extend a little bit further than what the Heat gave Tyler Herro. But we're already hearing it's really not that much further. It's 123 million guaranteed. There's 17 million in incentives. Sounds like out of those incentives, about somewhere in the 6 million-ish range are likely, which tells me I think Anthony Slater's done some reporting on this. I have not had a chance to look what they actually are. But they're probably tied to team success and those kind of things. Those are becoming very popular, meaning, made at least second round of the playoffs, third round of the playoffs, finals, win finals, whatever it is. So that's where, my guess is there's something like that tied in there for Poole. And then, he'll probably achieve those, whatever they are over the next couple of years, and off we go. So, yeah, I think the Warriors did well with this contract. I don't have a problem with it, but Jordan Poole definitely it was a little thank you to Tyler Herro and the Miami Heat for setting a floor for him in his negotiations.
Did you say 6 million-ish in likely or unlikely?
In likely, I believe.
Likely. Okay.
Yeah,
cool.
I think it was something like that. I've, like I said, I've not had a chance to look at it yet. I believe it was Anthony Slater, and I apologize if I'm misspeaking, but I believe he did. It's 17 million in total incentives.
Right.
Incentives are always split, as we talked, between likely and unlikely. I think 6 million-ish were likely, and then I think about 11 are unlikely. But again, those unlikely could be, raise your 3-point percentage by, 5 percentage points, and then you trigger that, lower your turnover percentage by X, and then they go from there. That's what I think it probably is something along those lines. But again, I believe it was Anthony Slater broke that all down for The Athletic.
Gotcha. And you mentioned Draymond in there, and we, out of our must talk about topics, we got to talk about Draymond. What do you think his market value is going to be at the end of this, and it's an emotional topic. I mean, we
Sure.
get all these comments on our channel, oh, trade him, and that's more like emotional rather than, you know, is he actually an asset that you would trade and get back, you know, value for? So can you speak on that level in terms of his market value? And really what we want you to do, which is unfair to you, is to look in your crystal ball, figure out what the environment is in June 2023, and tell us if Draymond will decide to opt in or not and what the ramifications are.
Sure. Yeah. So just very, very simply on that last part, that's the easiest part to do. If he opts in, they are up to about, let's call it, because they're going to pick up the options for Kuminga and Moody and Wiseman, I would guess, here before the deadline on the 31st. They're going to be up over $200 million in guaranteed committed salary on the books if Green opts in. If he opts out, probably in the 190-ish range, give or take, because you may see Donte DiVincenzo opt out. You know, maybe that doesn't go well for him. Maybe it goes so well that he's like, I'm not playing for 4.7 million next year. You got to pay me more. You know, so we'll see. That contract with DiVincenzo was always designed for him to opt out of it if it really went well and get another payday. So I think where we're headed with this is, I think there's still a chance, despite everything of the last couple weeks, that everything calms down. We get a couple months down the line, and the Warriors say, "All right, we're good, Draymond. We need you. We want to keep you around. Let's get an extension locked in." There's two challenges with that, though. If he doesn't do an extension by tomorrow's the deadline for veterans who have more than 2 or more years left on their contract, and that includes this year and any future years. Even though it's a player option for next year, counts. So if Draymond doesn't sign an extension tomorrow, it becomes a little harder to do an extension with him, because what happens with that is he would have to then decline that player option, but then the first year salary in an extension would have to be equal to that player option. And I'm not sold that the Warriors necessarily want to bring Draymond back at 27.6 million for next year. I think that's probably starting to get to be just a little bit too rich for what he is as a player. When you factor in, he misses time now, right? At his age, with his style of play, because he's very physical. He's very, he's just always constantly in the mix. We know he's going to miss somewhere between 20 and 30 games every year, probably going forward. It would just be my guess. Somewhere in that range. And quite honestly, I don't know if the Warriors really care if he misses 20 or 30 games, as long as they're coming in December, January, and February, ramp back up in March and April and be ready to go by playoff time. I don't think they really care about him missing some time. But I think what's going to happen is, I think I struggle to see an extension done if it's not done tomorrow, just because I don't think the Warriors are going to want to lock in. Now, what may happen? Let's say everything goes great. Let's say they make another run. Maybe they win the championship again. Well, if they win the championship again, it's really hard to let him walk then, right? Because if they're going to win the title this year, he's going to be a part of it. We all know that. And a big part of it. So they're not going to be able to let him bounce. But I think what they would have to do at that point is, I think what they would do with Draymond is, then they would say, all right, you're going to opt out. We're going to re-sign you, but we're going to do it something in the range of 18 to 20 million per season. What we're going to do is we're going to give you a couple years of guaranteed money on beyond just this one upcoming year that you would have left. And that way he locks in a little bit more money, but at a lower number, which lowers their tax bill and all those other things that we already talked about. That all comes down, allows them to keep their core together, and they just keep moving. Now, I'm willing to own, if it doesn't go well and he doesn't play well and there are further problems and other issues, I'm very willing to own maybe the Warriors just kind of say, you know what, we're done. You want to opt out and move on. And I know Lakers fans are all going nuts and saying, we're going to get them because the Klutch thing and all that. Yeah. But if that's where that goes, I think the Warriors would say, well, you know what, fine. But that's only if it all goes sideways and doesn't go well. Then I think they may wash their hands of it and be done. But I think for the most part, we're probably looking at, they'll do something. I just don't think it's going to happen tomorrow or at any point throughout the rest of this regular season.
Good overview there. Yeah, it just really comes down to how the Warriors do. And hey,
And him too, right? He's
right.
going to be a big part of that as well.
How about Klutch? How much of a factor does Rich Paul have in all this?
I mean, they definitely have a factor because they're very good at what they do. I know everybody laughs about the Lakers and they run the Lakers and that's how they get all their guys paid, but that's not true. They've gotten all sorts of other guys paid too that aren't on the Lakers. They're very good at what they do. I mean, that's just the reality. They obviously through LeBron, they gained a lot of power, but Rich Paul and the crew of agents they've hired and the people who work for them, they understand the landscape of the NBA. They understand how to negotiate a deal with 29 other clubs that aren't just the Lakers. Obviously, they do pretty well with the Lakers too, with getting deals. But I'm not going to go as far as Draymond's moving to the Lakers and all the stuff that's being said there. I just can't get there. I don't think that necessarily makes sense. I can't see if he's a free agent. I can't see that being how the Lakers want to really spend a large chunk of their cap space. And I don't think Draymond's at the point of his career, even if you're the biggest Draymond fan in the world, his play has slipped. I mean, we have to be realistic. It's starting to slip. It's not like he slipped down into the range of, all right, give me, the veteran minimum or give me, $5 million, the mid-level exception or anything like that, or the room exception. He hasn't slipped that far in his play. He's still, my opinion, next season still going to be at a minimum an 18 to $20 million player. Maybe he stays healthy, has a great year, and does quite well. Then maybe that will turn into a bigger deal. But for now, yeah, let's see where that all goes. But yeah, I don't know that he's going to make that jump. But Klutch is going to get him paid. He's going to get at least one more good contract before all is said and done.
And the 18 to 20, that would be classified good.
Yeah, I think so. I think that would still be, a fair contract. Ideally, what you would do is you'd start him high. Maybe if you even needed to start it around 22 or 24 million, and then he'd have it descend year to year. That would be even better. I just in an ideal world, just because that then as he continues to get older, probably continues to miss more time, play continues to slip. He's making less money, but if the average annual value over the life of the contract is somewhere in the 18 to $20 million range, that should be returning perfectly good value. It's nowhere near a max deal. It's only a few ticks above a mid-level contract. So I would feel comfortable giving him that even today.
Yeah. Draymond's always been a tough one for fans, and actually, from Draymond's circle, I always hear that his value. They think of more of his value as higher because he closes out Denver with a Defensive Player of the Year play on Jokic and so on and so forth, that kind of stuff. Whereas then I feel like when you come back to when that's done with, the basketball play is done with, you have a little time, it's time to negotiate contracts, you're back more towards the market value and stuff like that. And, of course, his circle is always going to think he has higher value himself. And I guess that's Klutch's job. That's
exactly. Yeah. Without a doubt.
To do. Yeah.
Yep.
So anyway.
Yeah, I will also say too, there's still, even though I think it's been proven to be relatively wrong, there is still a belief that Draymond, if you plucked him from Golden State and put him on Orlando, he's not going to be the same guy. Right. Which is, that's a little silly. Like Steph wouldn't be the same guy without Draymond and Klay. Klay wouldn't be the same guy without Steph or Draymond. That's just, that's just the reality. Those three came together at the exact right time and in the exact right place to really become what they've become. But there is a sense of, if you just pick, Steph would be, anybody's going to pay him, but Draymond, even Klay after the injuries, there is a sense of, what would they be, somewhere else? And, that's the other thing you have to factor in if you're Draymond and his representatives is, if I don't get something done with the Warriors, what else is out there for me? Everybody loves to throw his name into Detroit because that's home. right? And maybe the Pistons would say, you know what, we're ready to start winning. We're at that point now in our development curve. All right, we're going to give you money. We're still not going to give them $30 million a year. Like that just all of a sudden throws their whole salary sheet out of whack and everything becomes a mess. So that's where you have to start factoring in what could you get paid elsewhere? And that's why Klutch and quite frankly, teams and everybody else, they pay people good money to really sit down and evaluate and look and say, all right, what is all this stuff set up as? I think that's why they do that, is because they're looking at all those possibilities. And all right, who has cap space? Who has the ability to make an offer? Who has an ability to do X, Y, and Z? And that's all going to be part of the evaluation for Draymond and for the Warriors both, as they look at what an extension is. Because I've heard people say, well, there's no way the Warriors would sign him after what happened the last couple of weeks.
Right.
If he were able and he came and said, I'll take $5 million a year for the next 4 years, each of the next 4 years, it'd be done. They'd say, yeah, absolutely done. Let's go. So that's the you got to be reasonable about it. It's just more of, could you do it right now today at 25 million a year? Probably gets a little bit more questionable.
Right. Gotcha. One other thing I wanted to throw out there for you before you go. You've been so generous with your time with us. I appreciate that. Warriors fans appreciate that. But one thing I want to throw your way was that, I watched the tweets from the Warriors beat writers. Tim Kawakami, who talks to Bob Myers a lot and stuff. One time in the past, you could probably just look it up, mentioned a figure of 700 million EBITDA. I don't know if you have heard that before, but to me, coming from, I had a little soiree with finance before, so that's net income. So to me, it's like, yeah, you can afford 530 million, because 700 minus 530, you're still even, and that's not that's already accounted for. The salaries are already accounted for in the income statement. We're just kind of theoretical here, back a napkin, and it's like, I think he can afford it.
Sure.
What's your take on that in terms of like how, because Lakeup has also thrown a little posturing. He told Kawakami, yeah, there's no way we can do that. 400 to 500 million. Well, hey, you just did it. You're at 483. So was that posturing earlier? Make you look good now? How does it look from the league level?
Yeah, it might have been a little bit of posturing, and then you can play the conquering hero, right? As all right, I did it. My family has to go on 2 less European vacations a year, but we're gonna do it. We kept Jordan Poole. Like I think the reality is, I always say it was really stupid. Remember several years ago, I know you've been following the league for a very long time, Rich, but if you go back several years ago when the owners were like, we're losing money, half the franchises are losing money, that was never true. Never ever true. Like, if they were losing money like that, number one, the billionaires who own these teams, for the most part, they're pretty smart guys. They're very smart businessmen. And if they're losing money, they're not going to lose money on, at the end of the day, what ultimately amounts to a hobby for most of these guys, right? It's a part of a 30-person exclusive club, right? Of I am the majority owner of the Warriors, of the Celtics, of the Orlando Magic, and I am they're not going to do it if they're losing money. I think also with the Warriors is when Joe Lacob made those comments, I do think there was some truth in it. I think it was starting to look at it, and probably, like I said at the beginning when I joined you, $500 million is a little like, is that even a real number? Like, what are we talking about here?
Money is what you said. Yeah.
Especially when you look at it, they paid less for the team to buy the team. They paid like $450 million.
Yeah.
Now, that might as well have been $1 billion years ago, right?
Yeah.
Because team values have gone up so much. If they wanted to sell the team, they'd clear $3-4 billion easy, I would imagine, just with where the Warriors are at today with the arena and all those things. But they're not losing money and paying these tax bills. They're not Joe Lacob. and I'm trying to say this and not be insulting. He doesn't love Warriors fans so much that he's, just spending money to spend it. I mean, it's they're doing all right. Are they making as much money as they'd like to be? Yeah, probably not. Right? They probably wouldn't. Right? So they'd probably rather be making 500 million a year, and if they're paying in the taxes, and all that, maybe they're making 400 million a year after you pay all the tax bills and those kind of things. But, at this point, they've been living this life for so long. They've had all these things factored in, game planned out, looked at, figured out. Now, what's changed too, I think also is why they were probably willing to go up is the league bounced back from the pandemic impacted seasons better than anybody ever could have imagined. They're poised to sign the new incredibly rich TV contracts, which is going to pump a bunch of money into everybody. Eventually, the league is going to expand. They are eventually going to do that, and that's going to pump a bunch of money into the current owners' pockets. And that's money when expansion happens. That's going to also be a topic of conversation in the CBA negotiations, because today, when expansion happens, the players don't get any chunk of that. That all goes right to the governors. Players get no portion of that money. I think get a portion in the sense of, well, that's a whole bunch more jobs created and those kind of things, obviously. But they don't get any of the expansion fees. And we know expansion teams, they're going to cost probably between 2.5 and 3 billion a piece. And there's going to be two of them. So then you're going to take, let's just call it 6 billion and split it amongst 30 teams. Everybody's going to be doing pretty well with that, right? So just off that alone, you've already paid for half of one season of the Warriors bill. But they're not losing money. They're doing fine. They're pushing, and everything coming better. They're just sitting in a good place. The Warriors are. So that's where it. It's not. I don't want to say let things go in one ear and out the other, because it did perk me up a little bit to say, maybe. But then, like you said, in the same day, they turn around and, here's 200+ million in contracts, and let's just keep the good times rolling. I mean, and it's great, right? It's great. To answer the question in the chat for Opie, because I can do it super duper quick.
All right. Opie.
Yes, vet minimum. Vet minimum deals. What happens with those is, in the case of Andre Iguodala, good example, he's going to actually make about $3 million this year in actual salary. He's only going to. The Warriors are only going to be on the hook for 1.8 million of that, then plus whatever the corresponding tax penalty is. So call that a $4 or $5 million, penalty on top of it. So let's just round it and call it a $6 million total deal. But what happens with those is the league subsidizes or pays the difference between the actual salary. So Iguodala is a 10-year vet, almost $3 million. That extra $1.2 million, the NBA actually pays that out. And that's a way for the NBA to help keep guys like Andre Iguodala, Udonis Haslem of the Heat, keep those guys around, keep them in jobs, because otherwise teams would just say, nope, Lord, see you later. If we had to pay you that actual full $3 million, we're out on that. Go, retire. It's been great having you. Let us know when you want tickets and locker room passes. We'll see you. It's going to be very, easy. So that helps keep those guys in jobs. On the MLE always does count fully against the cap and the tax. There's never a point where those don't count.
All right. Awesome, Keith. And Opie is an aspiring CBA expert. He was on live stream. He's saying, "Oh, I got a spreadsheet. You want me to send you the spreadsheet?" I'm like, "Wow, you got a spreadsheet, man! You are hardcore." And I bet you have a spreadsheet as well. But
I do, yeah. It used to be. I used to, for a little bit. It was. I ran it public for a little while in the. We're in the throes of the pandemic, and I was like a lot of people, unfortunately, I was out of work too. So I made it public for a little bit through Patreon, and a lot of great folks helped me out through that period. But then SpoTrac picked me up, and we went into a period of time where, we shut that down, because it's all the same information is on SpoTrac. You can find it all there. And, if there's something that looks off or missing, feel free to, hit me up on Twitter, or my email's in my bio on Twitter. You can always shoot me an email. I will get to it eventually. I promise. It might take me a little bit, but I will get to it eventually.
Congratulations on that. I remember during the pandemic, and You were tweeting about that, and then you landed at SpoTrac. And I was
Yeah.
like, oh, that's pretty
I
cool.
appreciate that. Yeah, SpoTrac's been great to me. I love it. It's the perfect fit for me. What I want to do, what I want to write about, and all those kind of things. They've been great. And it was it was tough, because I had 3 weeks before the pandemic, I left a 20 year career with Disney. I had worked for Disney
That's
for 20
right.
plus years, and I left a 20 year career with Disney to chase this dream of covering the NBA. My timing was impeccable. Three weeks to the day later, Rudy Gobert. They ran out and shut that game down, and then shut the next game down, and then said, "All right, babe, remember, we're going to take a 2 week break, and then everything will be good." And months later, they finished in a bubble right down the street from my house, here in Orlando, and it's just it's been a whirlwind since, but good stuff now. I'm very very happy to be where I'm at. And I appreciate you guys having me, and hanging out with you guys for a little bit here on a Sunday night. Enjoy ring night. It's I know you've all done it a few times, but they never get old, right? They're always fun, and they're always
We'll try to catch you guys.
You got a little ways to go. We're trying to hold off your neighbors to the south right now. So, so we'll see. Hey, and
we can.
Right. Let's hope we have something to talk about in a little friendly warfare in June again. I'd love to see the two teams run it back.
Yeah, is Celtics blog, just real quick before you go? Is that SB Nation or which?
Yeah, Celtics blog is part of SB Nation. So yep,
Okay.
so we're part of the SB Nation group there, and it's we cover everything Celtics day in day out, news, analysis, all that sort of stuff. I do after every single game. I do a 10 takeaways column where I go and I do 10 takeaways from the game before. Sometimes I cheat, sometimes it's 12 or 13. In the playoffs, they tended to grow closer to 15 or more.
Look at that passion. That's the passion right there. You're supposed to be 10, but you end up with 15. That's what we do here.
Love it. Yeah.
Yesterday's live stream to celebrate Wiggins and Poole, I was thinking an hour. I ended up staying on 4 hours with these guys.
Great. Right. It's the best. I love basketball. I love the community we all have as NBA fans. It's awesome. I know you were telling me you guys get a lot of people from the other side of the world, tuning in. That is fantastic. I host my own show, NBA Front Office Show with Trevor Lane. We do that. It's podcast version, NBA Front Office Show, or on YouTube at an NBA Front Office Show on YouTube as well. You watch. We do a lot of kind of the conversation we just had tonight. That's what Trevor and I do on a near daily basis, with a lot of breakdowns and a lot of just coverage stuff. But I love when we do our live shows. We do live shows every once in a while, and when we do a live show, we get people tuning in sometimes from Eastern Europe, and it's 3:30 in the morning, and it's like, one, why are you awake? Go to bed, get some sleep. But we have some Australian fans who love to tune in, and those kind of things. We have a blast. We have a lot of fun doing it. So I love our NBA community and how passionate everybody is. It's the best game in the world. It's people say that about soccer, which I love too, but give me basketball any day of the week.
Yeah, and just the last thing, SB Nation. So I came through Golden State of Mind back in 2000.
Yeah, oh, very cool.
So yeah, we kind of had that connection because back then, wow, it was a different time, but still just the passion between each of our blogs, our original blogs, Celtics blog and Golden State of Mind. So
Jeff Clark, who runs Celtics blog, we call him the blog father because Jeff started the first NBA team focused blog almost 20 years ago. Long before they were part of SB Nation or anything. And he loves to tell the story of he thought of a million kind of fun and punny names and things like that. And then he just every time he talked about it, he just kept talking about, I'm going to do this Celtics blog. I'm going to do this Celtics blog. And he said, I'm just going to call it Celtics blog. And that was, 20 years ago, he started. That was the first team specific blog. And, he's the best. That's why we call Jeff the blog father.
Awesome. Well, thank you so much, Keith. That was great. So much.
I appreciate it. Thank you for having me.
Take care. We'll see you.
Best of luck this season.
You too.
Thank you.
No problem. All right, guys. So thank you so much to Keith. I have a whole running list of topics we talked about that's in the description. So check out the description, especially if you want to use the timestamps, but the timestamps only work after the live stream. So, hopefully we will close it up here. That's great. I'm glad he took the time to answer Opie's question, which means he had the StreamYard settings to show the comments at the right time. And I'm so happy that we have, what's up, P Dizzle? We have our own sort of resident up and coming CBA expert, and Opie just went to the next level tonight there with Keith. So that was fun. And Opie, remind me if you want to email me, I can link you to. I mean, you can Google it too. Larry Kuhn. Larry Kuhn's website has, oh my gosh, so much information. I don't even know how to explain Larry Kuhn's website about the collective bargaining agreement. But all of those questions, I'm pretty sure they're answered on there as well. You just got to search and search and search. I had one time in the last year or two, I went there to go look up bird rights and early bird rights. And it was like, whoa, I mean, I get it now, but I still don't know the details. Like, what's your salary raises? And, I don't have that spreadsheet where you actually plug in the salary raise of the bird rights or early bird. It's just so confusing. So appreciate you guys. And I'm going to take a screenshot of these cool comments. So that does it for me. I'm pooped. 4-hour lives from yesterday. I'm still tired from that. So let's call it a day. That was pretty cool, man. Just going in depth. And I really liked, if there's one thing that we learned today, it's that he believes Draymond's salary should be 18 to 20 million. Having a 1 hour and 16 minutes with a CBA expert to tell us that, totally worth it. So let's keep that in mind. And all of you guys, the 120 concurrents, and it got up to 140, 150 earlier, you guys will have that information in your back pocket. So please splash that like button on the way out. P Dizzle, I think just when you go to your YouTube page, when you go to youtube.com, Let's Go Warriors, /Let's Go Warriors, just hit the notification bell and that should work for you. Or Google it. It'll tell you. But I got to go now. Just get some rest and eat dinner, take care of some things. So let's do it. Splash the like button and we'll see you Tuesday. We'll see you Tuesday, ring night. 6 p.m. because ring ceremony will be 6:30. So 6 p.m. Pacific, and that'll be 9 a.m. in the Far East. And we'll see you then. Just us, 1, 2, 3.